Too many people have gotten flat out denied for Capital One Venture X cards with nearly perfect credit scores. I can't believe people with 100% payment history, no baddies on their credit report, and below 524 status are getting flat out rejected by Capital One. Their approval and credit limit increase system is known for being confusing, but this is just crazy. After reviewing 40 data points from people who got denied and approved for the Venture X card, I found the #1 denial reason responsible for over 70% of rejections. The guaranteed way to turn that denial into an approval, and why Capital One is giving people with low income $20,000 plus credit limits. Now, Capital One sends out those denial letters after they reject your application, and there's 3 main reasons why they deny you for those applications. And the third most reason is Capital One credit limits are too high. This means Capital One is refusing to extend even more credit to you because you've already reached the max limit they're comfortable with giving you across all of your Capital One cards. Internally, they call this a credit exposure limit. It's when a bank gives a whole lot of credit to just one single person. Imagine you've got several credit cards or loans, and they're all from the same bank. That bank starts getting a bit nervous because they put a lot of trust into you and money into you. If you default on their credit cards, then they might not see the money again. It's super risky for them, and they usually try to avoid it. And just to back that up, here's what one person said. They said, "My application for the Capital One Venture X card was denied. And here's a summary of my credit cards. Capital One Quicksilver with a credit limit of $18,000, Capital One Walmart card, which has a $10,000 credit limit, Capital One Platinum card with a $9,000 credit limit." The reason for denial, as stated in the letter, was that my credit limits on existing Capital One accounts are considered too high. The second most reason is too many recent inquiries. Now, this means you have too many hard credit pulls showing up on your credit report over 6, 12, and 24 months periods. There's no clear rule about how many is too many, but one thing is for sure, the more you have, the worse your odds of approval are. And the #1 reason is too many revolving accounts. Over 70% of denials were handed down because people had way more credit cards than Capital One wanted to compete with. And you know what? Every single person who got denied had more than 4 revolving credit card accounts. If you're a credit card enthusiast like me, or you're a churner looking for your 5th sign-up bonus this year, then the Venture X card is mostly not for you. I'll tell you the best strategy you can use to still get approved in a second, so don't worry. And here's a data point for you. They said, I have an annual income of $215,000 and my credit scores are 758 on Experian, that's currently locked, and 760 according to Credit Karma. And here's a list of my credit cards. I had the Deserve card. This was my oldest account, but it was closed due to inactivity back in April of 2023. I had the Gold card acquired in April of 21, Capital One Quicksilver card with a $1,000 limit, also back in April of 21, a Venmo card with a $1,500 limit obtained in 21, Chase Freedom Flex card with a $10,000 limit opened back in January of 22, a Chase Sapphire Preferred card with an $18,000 limit from May of 2022. When I last applied for a card in February 23, I had opened 5 new accounts in the past 24 months. My application was denied due to having too many revolving accounts. And another person said, I got denied immediately through the online application. About 2 weeks later, received mail with an explanation saying there are too many revolving accounts within a year. I have 2 credit cards plus 2 charge cards. That's 4 in total. And yet another person said, had an application for the Venture X get rejected with only one reason given for the rejection. Based on your credit report from one or more of the agencies on the back of this letter, there are too many revolving accounts. That's 6 accounts in this case. And someone else said, I got the same denial reason when attempting to get it pre-approved for the Venture X, and I have 9 revolving accounts. Basically, we are not their target market. So I found that just having very few credit cards does not guarantee approval, but it does make up the largest portion of what gets you in the door for Capital One. And you know what? A lot of people thought you could only have 2 or 4 Capital One cards and then you just be cut off from applying, but that's just not true. There's no hard limit on how many Capital One cards you can have. And just to back that up, one person said, I have 5 personal Capital One cards, the Venture X, Saver, Quicksilver, Walmart, and the Venture One card. There is no 2 to 3 maximum card limit with Capital One. And listen, I'm sad to say this, but you can still get denied even if you are pre-approved first. Pre-approvals typically put you at a 90% chance of getting fully approved, but there's always that 10% chance that you get denied. And here's a data point for that. I've been frequently checking the Capital One Venture X pre-approval page, and until recently, I was always receiving denials. However, last week, I was pre-approved. Now, I was eager to replace my Platinum and Quicksilver cards, which have credit limits of $550 and $600. I proceeded with the full application for the Venture X card. Unfortunately, my application was rejected. My credit scores are 777 with Equifax, 754 with TransUnion, and 769 with Experian. My credit utilization is consistently between 9 and 10% on all reports, and my annual income is $68,000. I'm still waiting for the official denial letter, but I know there are 2 inquiries on my Experian report, and Capital One checked all 3 bureaus. You know, I gotta say, getting 1 hard credit pull is bad enough, but getting 3 hard pulls at once is just devastating because it hurts all 3 credit scores. That's why I like Stellari, because it reports up to $25,000 of a credit limit to the bureaus without doing a hard credit pull whatsoever, and it helps build up your credit in the process. They give you this virtual bill pay card so you can use that to pay your rent, phone bill, gym membership, and streaming services. That way, all those bills that would typically go unreported actually get reported this time and help build your credit by sending all that good payment history and low utilization to the credit bureaus. Now, if you have bad credit, like a 500 credit score, that's okay. You can still get approved. There's no interest, there's no deposits. And a member of theirs said, as someone who is trying to build and fix my credit, I was very skeptical about Stellari. It just seemed too good to be true. I will say I've been with them for about 2 months and my credit score jumped by 28 points within the first month. I couldn't believe it. And another member said, my credit score has increased by 25 to 30 points so far by literally just paying my bills like I normally do. This platform is so simple to use, and it's nice to work on your credit without accruing more debt like credit cards can make you do. So definitely hit that link below and try out Stellari for 99 cents and get a reported credit limit up to $25,000 so you can start building your credit even faster. So I thought to myself, why deny people with too many revolving accounts? It just doesn't make sense. Now, I can think of 2 potential reasons why Capital One would be doing this. Number 1 is risk management. It's really pretty straightforward. If you have a lot of credit cards, companies might worry you're stretching yourself too thin or too dependent on credit. They might get nervous even if you're not maxing out your cards because there's always a chance you could rack up a lot of debt. And then number 2, profitability concerns. Here's the deal. If you got a ton of cards, you might just be in it for the perks and bonuses and not really using each card a lot. Some credit card companies, especially for the high-end cards like the Capital One Venture X, don't want to deal with people who collect credit cards. They're really looking for those customers who will make their card the main one they use. And I've heard it described as top of wallet. Now, after reviewing over 20 approvals within the last year, I found the median number of revolving card accounts was only 3. Now, that's extremely low for anybody in this credit card community, and there's a ton of evidence to back this point up. The first person said, my credit history includes 3 credit cards. The Chase Sapphire Preferred with a credit limit of $10,600, Amex Platinum, which doesn't have a predefined credit limit, Navy Federal Credit Union card, which has an $11,000 credit limit, and I maintain less than a 20% utilization on that card. And then another person said, I have the Quicksilver card, Hilton Aspire, Amex Blue Cash Preferred, and I'm an authorized user on my wife's Saver card. You should know, because this is a Visa Infinite card, the minimum starting limit is $10,000, and of everybody who got approved for the Venture X, 73% received a starting limit of either $10,000, $20,000, or $30,000. So it's going to be an even number. Capital One seems to really favor people who are either new to credit or early in their credit card journey. 10% were college students, which is remarkable since most premium travel credit cards are just out of reach for young adults with thin credit profiles. Now check this out. This person said, I noticed someone got approved for the Venture X with less than a year of credit history. Inspired by this, I decided to try for a pre-approval, especially since I was looking for a Visa card with no foreign transaction fees for my study abroad. Using the Venture X specific tool, I was pre-approved for the Venture X, but not for any of the other Venture cards. However, when I used the standard Capital One pre-approval tool, it only suggested the Quicksilver for good credit and the Platinum Secured card. And here's another fact you should know. Capital One is also giving high credit limits to people with low income, like students, especially when they have authorized user accounts reporting. Typically, you can only get approved with limits up to 10 to 15% of your yearly income, but people are getting up to 45% with this card. Here's what one person said. I have an annual income of $55,000 and was instantly approved for the VentureX card with a $25,000 limit. This marks my first experience with a card that has an annual fee. Another person said, I have an annual income of $27,000 and received a credit limit of $10,000 on my card, which is the minimum amount. Now Capital One is backing up the Brinks truck for them. One thing is for sure, do not apply if you have a lot of revolving accounts and very recent hard credit pulls. You should make sure to have super low recent hard inquiries in the past 6, 12, and 24 months. Out of everyone who shared info on their number of inquiries in the past 24 months, the median was only 2.5. So not only did most people have low revolving accounts, but they also had low inquiries too. Another data point said, before I applied for a card, I had 3 inquiries on Experian, none on Equifax and TransUnion. After applying, I received 1 inquiry on each credit bureau. And another person said, my credit scores are as follows: Equifax 742 with 1 inquiry, TransUnion 734 with 2 inquiries, and Experian 762 with 1 inquiry. Now, Capital One has 4 different pathways to getting approved for the VentureX card. You can go by straight up applying for the VentureX on its particular page. Then you have the generic pre-approval page. You have the VentureX specific pre-approval page, and then you have the secret product change landing page. And if you want links to the generic Capital One pre-approval page and the secret product change page, then you can find both of them in my credit card pre-approval master list with over 60 cards that you can get pre-approved for today. Just hit the link below. Now, the best way to get approved is by going through the VentureX specific pre-approval page, because it tells you with 90% accuracy whether you'll be fully approved before you pull the trigger and complete the application. The next best way is by using the secret product change page. This 100% guarantees that you'll get the card, but you won't get the huge sign-up bonus because all you're doing is switching out your current Capital One card for the VentureX card. Now, there's one guaranteed way to finally get approved for the VentureX card if you were previously denied. You just have to wait until 1 or more of your inquiries fall completely off your credit report, which takes 24 months. Then you can recheck the VentureX specific pre-approval page to see if Capital One gives you the green light. And this person said, I received approval for the VentureX card 10 months after getting my last new card. This approval came following an initial rejection 2 months earlier when the card was first released. In the interim between applications, I closed a couple cards, which might have influenced my approval. Another person said, once my American Express Gold and Capital One Quicksilver cards were over 24 months old, I noticed that all of the cards were marked as approved on the pre-approval page. And another person said, I had been attempting to get pre-qualified for the VentureX, but kept getting denied due to having too many revolving accounts. After I reached the 424 mark, I finally got pre-qualified for the card. So for me, a couple of years back, I was all about cashback rewards and honestly didn't get the hype about the VentureX card. I mean, the idea of being this easy to use all-purpose card seemed kind of far-fetched to me. But then the card kept showing up in my Capital One product change page. And for like a year and a half, it was just sitting there staring back at me. I did peek at the pre-approval page, but there was no luck for me there. Despite having excellent credit, all I got were offers for the bottom of the barrel, bottom tier secured Capital One cards. There was no way I was gonna risk a blind application and get slammed with a triple hard pull. So what I did do was choose another pathway. I swapped my Quicksilver card for a shiny new VentureX card using the product change page. And yeah, I know, some folks gave me a hard time over skipping the sign-up bonus. I remember someone saying, I think not getting that welcome offer was a bad decision, but good for you on that VentureX. And then there was another person who said, out of all the cards that have an intro bonus, the VentureX is probably the one you should directly apply for because that starting intro can be huge. Now, sure, missing out on the bonus was a setback, but hey, I'm happy with how things turned out. I wanted that card right away and wasn't about to pump the brakes on my card applications just to make sure I ticked all the boxes for Capital One. And you know what? Shortly after getting the VentureX card, I started getting into business credit cards. But the problem is a lot of those cards are hard inquiry sensitive, just like the VentureX card is. That's until I discovered a way to find local community banks and credit unions right in your backyard that can fund your new LLC with up to $50,000 in 30 days without proof of income. You'll want to check out the next video to learn more about that process, and thank you for watching.